Catholics around the world are praying for Pope Francis as he receives treatment for double pneumonia in Rome. But for some in South Africa, it's not just well wishes for the Holy Father. The Pontiff is someone whose work has held a profound impact, or has had a profound impact on their lives. They say it's a moment to reflect on the Pope's legacy and how it has uplifted and empowered the marginalised. Here's Newzroom Afrika's Mnisi with that report.
From all corners of the world to the pews of the Cathedral of Christ the King in Johannesburg, Catholics are united in silent prayer for the Pope.
For us Catholics, Pope Francis is not just the leader of the Church. He is way much more than that. He's the representative, or rather the successor of Peter. And he's a father of the Church. He's the one that we all aspire to go to pray for, and to ask that he prays for us, to lead and guide us. As you know, the Vatican is not only a place that deals with prayer, but it also deals with international affairs. So Pope Francis is that. He is the president of the Vatican. He is the father of the Church. And I think he's one of those popes that we all feel that closeness to.
This is the leader of an estimated 1.4 billion members of the Church worldwide. The Pontiff's papacy is revered for being centered around humility, concern for the poor, empowerment, and the upliftment of women in the Church. Pirish first met the Pope in 2018 in Rome, where she was working as a journalist for the Catholic Church. She would later directly benefit from the Pope's efforts to empower women in the Church.
I remember very well in 2018 being part of different women groups calling for equality for women in the Church. I remember since then writing and doing different interviews about, the need to include more women in leadership positions. And then Pope Francis started appointing, and then we would write like, okay, we also want to see women from the global south. It would be good, not just European women in positions of leadership. So there he was. Comes the Synod on Synodality. The very first assembly, he announces the nomination, or rather the appointment of a female, and a black female, to be Secretary of Commission for Information, which is basically being a secretary, a spokesperson of the Synod of Bishops. And that person is me. And I thought, wow, this is a first.
That position brought her into closer proximity with the Pope and saw her engage with the Pontiff on a variety of issues.
Because I had to deal with press briefings during lunchtime, I'll just go back early to the Synod Hall. And those were the times when I had the opportunity to interact with the Pope, talk about different things. I mean, at one point, I remember speaking to him about the elections, the October elections in Mozambique. And I asked him, would you mind doing a video message to the people in Mozambique as they head to the polls? And he's like, no, sure, for sure. And he just did it. A video in Portuguese, actually, spoke in Portuguese. And one thing that Pope Francis always did and always does whenever he speaks to you is, please pray for me. At the end of any conversation, he always says, please remember me in your prayers. Pray for me.
And the Catholics globally are now joined in prayer for the Pope as he battles double pneumonia in a Rome hospital.
It's quite sad, but at the same time, as Catholics, we are people of hope. We live in this Jubilee year of hope, and we pray and have faith and hope that all will be well, that he will come out of this, and that God's will be done.
The Vatican reported on Wednesday that the Pope rested well overnight and remains in a critical but stable condition.
A lot of uncertainty lingers, but the Catholic community remains hopeful that God will do what's best for the Pope. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Mnisi at the Cathedral of Christ the King in Johannesburg.